Have you ever stood in front of a woman, thinking everything was going well, only to feel her slowly drift away, without a word, without a reason? You did what you thought was right. You were kind. You were present. You were even strong. And yet, she pulled back, like a wave retreating from the shore before the tide turns. And you're left wondering, what did I miss? You see, most men walk into relationships like tourists in a foreign land, fascinated by what they see, but unable to understand the language, the culture, the depth. And that's where they lose. Not because they didn't care, but because they didn't know what to listen for. Women don't fall in love with surface. They fall in love with what's beneath. And they only reveal their depths to a man who has earned the right to witness them. That's what this video is about. Not tricks, not tactics, but truth. The kind of truth a woman shows only when she no longer needs to protect herself. Only when she believes she's safe in your presence. And here's the most overlooked reality. Women don't leave because you're not attractive enough. They leave because you didn't see what mattered. You didn't hold space for the parts of her soul she offered quietly, in pieces, in passing moments that most men miss. Today, we'll uncover 5 sacred layers. Things a woman only reveals when you've reached the rarest place in her world, her trust. And more than that, we'll reflect on what kind of man you must become to not only receive those truths, but to honor them. Because a stoic man doesn't seek control. He seeks understanding. He doesn't react. He holds firm. He doesn't just hear, he sees. If you've ever wanted to be the man she never forgets, the one she surrenders to not out of fear, but out of trust, then stay until the end. What you'll discover could change how you understand women, love, and yourself. If this message already speaks to you, I invite you to like, subscribe, and join the Stoic Now community. Let's spread this deeper way of living, one heart, one mind at a time. Now, let's begin this journey, beyond appearances into essence. Number 1. Her childhood and emotional scars. There's something deeply sacred about the moment a woman begins to tell you stories from her childhood. It might start casually, an anecdote about a neighbor, a memory of a schoolyard, a laugh about her first pet. But beneath the surface, hidden in the rhythm of her voice and the pauses between her words, is a silent map. A map that, if you learn how to read it, will guide you straight into the core of her emotional world. But most men don't read maps. They skim headlines. They listen to respond, not to understand. And so they miss the moment entirely. To the untrained mind, a woman talking about her past may sound like mere reminiscing. But to the man who sees with stoic clarity, who listens with presence rather than impulse, her childhood stories become revelations. Not of what happened, but of what shaped her. Not of dates or events, but of fears, wounds, and unspoken hopes that have lived inside her for years. When she tells you her father left when she was 8, not just the fact of it, but the feeling of it, she is handing you something fragile. Maybe she doesn't say the word abandonment. Maybe she just shrugs and says, "He was never around much." But listen closely, because in that moment, she's telling you why she pulls away after arguments. Why she checks your consistency more than your charm. She's not testing you. She's watching to see if history will repeat itself. If she shares that love in her house was conditional, that affection came only when she succeeded or performed, you need to hear the echo that still shapes her today. Maybe now she works tirelessly to be enough, even when no one is asking her to. Maybe she becomes tense if she senses disappointment. And maybe, just maybe, she'll never say these things outright. Because vulnerability isn't always in the words. It's in the patterns. In the way she stiffens when you raise your voice, even slightly. In the way she downplays her achievements, hoping not to sound arrogant. In the way she apologizes for feeling too much, even when you haven't said a word. Seneca once said, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." For many women, childhood wasn't a playground, it was a battlefield. And those battles didn't leave visible scars. They left emotional codes. If you want to truly understand the woman in front of you, you must be willing to decode her. Now, this doesn't mean treating her like a broken puzzle. The Stoic way is not pity, it is presence. It is not about fixing her, it is about learning her. Holding space, not as a rescuer, but as a witness. Understanding that her experiences, no matter how long ago, still shape how she loves, how she fears, how she responds to you now. Let's say she tells you about being bullied as a kid, about how her appearance or her voice or her interests made her a target. What she's really telling you is that there's a part of her that still braces for rejection, even in the smallest interactions. If she needs more reassurance than other women you've known, don't roll your eyes. Recognize that you've been given access to a place most will never be invited. Her fragility is not weakness, it's sacred. It's trust. In today's world, people wear their independence like armor. They're quick to say, "I don't need anyone," but slow to admit the quiet ache they carry. So when a woman sits across from you and peels back that layer of practiced strength, you better not look away. Because when she tells you about her past, what she's really asking is, "Can you handle my truth without making me feel ashamed for it?" And here's where many men fail. They nod, they say that sucks, they move on. But the Stoic man, the rare one, asks questions that matter. Not to interrogate, but to connect. What was that like for you? Do you think it still affects you today? These are not invasive questions. These are invitations. Invitations that say, you don't have to carry this alone anymore. The truth is, the way a woman opens up about her childhood tells you everything about how she will love and fear being loved. If she tells you she always had to compete with a sibling for attention, she may unconsciously fear being replaced. If she had a mother who criticized her constantly, she may brace herself for judgment even in silence. And if she grew up in chaos, she may confuse peace with boredom, mistaking your stability for a lack of passion. This is why so many good men are left confused when a woman pulls away for no reason. It's not for no reason. It's just that the reason predates you. And if you haven't taken the time to understand that, you'll take it personally, react from ego, and damage something that needed care, not confrontation. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? In love, this couldn't be more true. When her reactions seem too much, take a breath. Ask, what unhealed part of me is triggered by this? When you see her shutting down, don't chase, anchor. Let your steadiness be the thing she returns to, not because you force her, but because your presence gives her permission to come back home to herself. And here's the paradox. The more you understand her history, the less you need to fix her reactions. You stop seeing her behavior as dramatic and start seeing it as patterned. You stop responding with judgment and begin responding with wisdom. And that wisdom, that's what makes you unforgettable. Because when a woman feels emotionally understood, she unlocks a level of intimacy most men never experience. Her body follows her heart, and her heart follows her trust. If you want her to crave your presence, start by honoring her story. If you want her to let you in completely, show her that her past doesn't scare you, that you can hold it with the same strength and gentleness she's been searching for her whole life. The man who listens deeply to her childhood isn't just hearing her. He's reading her blueprint. And when you can read the blueprint, you don't just build connection, you build devotion. Number 2, her past relationship failures. When a woman starts talking about her ex, many men tense up. They hear it as comparison, as threat, or worse, as a sign that she's not over him. But this is where the unwise get it wrong. What she's sharing isn't nostalgia. It's not even about the man before you. It's about her experience, what shaped her beliefs about love, what broke her, and what she's still healing from. And in that moment, whether you know it or not, she's watching to see if you're different or exactly the same. The stories she tells aren't confessions, they're compasses. If you listen with the right ears, you'll hear her emotional non-negotiables, the patterns she's terrified of repeating, and the silent vows she made to herself after every heartbreak. She might say, "My last relationship made me feel invisible." What she's really telling you is, don't disappear on me emotionally. Show up, not just physically, but with intention, with presence. Because her pain wasn't in being alone, it was in feeling alone next to someone she loved. If she tells you her ex betrayed her trust, she's not looking for you to promise you'd never do the same. She's watching to see if your actions match your words. She's watching how you speak to other women, how you react when you're angry, how you behave when no one's watching. Trust isn't something she's offering freely anymore. It's something she's measuring moment by moment. And if she opens up about being controlled, emotionally manipulated, or made to feel too much, then know this. She's not just sharing. She's scanning your reactions. Does your face tighten when she talks too long? Do you interrupt with your own stories? Do you try to downplay her pain? Every one of these responses becomes part of your emotional resume, and she reads it fluently. Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This applies not only to your hardships, but to hers as well. When she trusts you with her past, your response is not a chance to impress. It's a test of who you truly are under pressure. The tragedy is that many men fail this test without even knowing it. They get insecure. They make it about them. They rush in to defend their ego rather than lean in to understand her experience. Well, I'm not like that guy, they say. But she doesn't need the words. She needs the evidence, the calm strength, the stillness that says, "I'm not here to compete with your past. I'm here to help you rewrite your story." Some men try to shut the conversation down altogether. "Let's not talk about exes," they say, trying to keep things positive. But love isn't sanitized. It's not filtered through highlight reels. It's real. It's messy. It's raw. And a woman who brings you her wounds isn't dragging baggage. She's offering context. She's saying, "This is what hurt me. This is what I don't want to feel again." And if you dismiss it, if you tell her to just move on, then you become another man who doesn't understand emotional safety. The Stoic man doesn't fear discomfort. He doesn't run from someone else's pain. He holds space for it, not to fix it, but to witness it. To say, "I see where you've been, and I'm not afraid of what that means." This is where the deepest intimacy begins, not in shared hobbies, not in perfect dates, but in these quiet, heavy moments where you show her that her past doesn't intimidate you, that her heartbreak doesn't make her less lovable, that her history doesn't make her harder to love. It makes her more worth knowing. And let's be honest, most women aren't asking for perfection. They're asking for awareness, emotional intelligence, the ability to hear their story and not personalize it, the strength to stand in front of someone who has been broken and not feel threatened by the pieces. If she tells you her last relationship ended because she was too ambitious, what she's really saying is, "I need a man who isn't scared of my fire, a man who doesn't just tolerate her dreams, but celebrates them." If you make jokes about her goals, if you downplay her desire to build something great, you're telling her, without even realizing it, that she'll have to dim herself just to be with you. And if you think that showing compassion for her past makes you soft, you've misunderstood what it means to be a man. It's not stoic to be numb. It's stoic to be unshaken. Not cold, but composed. A man who can sit with someone's pain without rushing to escape it. A man who knows that the true measure of strength isn't how loud you speak, but how deeply you listen. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In love, this means not becoming the shadow of her ex, not repeating what she's escaped, not walking the same emotional corridors and pretending the pain is different. It means doing the slow, patient work of building trust, not with big gestures, but with small, consistent actions. It means noticing when she flinches at criticism and responding with softness, not sarcasm. It means recognizing when she withdraws and not punishing her for it, but letting her know, quietly, "I'm still here." Because ultimately, a woman who shares her relationship failures isn't looking for a savior. She's looking for someone solid, someone steady, someone who doesn't scare when the emotional waves rise. And if you can be that man, if you can let her bleed without flinching, let her speak without interruption, let her remember without judgment, then something sacred happens. She begins to trust you, not just with her body, but with her history. And when a woman trusts you with both, that's when love becomes unbreakable. Not because it's perfect, but because it's seen, it's felt, it's real. And if you've ever asked yourself why some men seem to inspire total devotion, while others are forgotten in a month, the answer is here. Emotional safety is the ultimate aphrodisiac. And only the men who pass the test of her past ever get to feel the fullness of her present. Number 3, her fears. Fear is not always loud. Sometimes it's the silence between words, the hesitation before a kiss, the shift in her eyes when something reminds her of what she's trying so hard to forget. And when a woman chooses to show you her fears, not the superficial ones, but the real ones, you are standing at the threshold of her soul. Most men never get there, not because they're bad, but because they're busy listening to her words instead of her heart. They miss the tremble behind her confidence. They overlook the courage it takes for her to say, "I'm scared of losing everything," or "I'm afraid I'll never be enough." They hear those words as vulnerability, but fail to realize they are actually invitations to be the kind of man most women have only dreamed about. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Now imagine how much more painful that becomes when someone's fears are dismissed, not because they weren't real, but because they weren't taken seriously. When a woman says she's afraid of being left behind, of being replaced, of giving her heart and watching it shatter, she's not asking for your reassurance. She's asking for your anchor. Don't say, "That won't happen." Don't feed her cliches. Don't rush to fix the wound before you've even touched the soul. What she needs is your steadiness, your full presence, your silent strength. A stoic man doesn't react from emotion, but he doesn't ignore emotion either. He holds it like a fire in his hands, knowing that warmth and destruction are separated only by intention. When she tells you she's terrified of failing, don't dismiss her with weak comfort like, "You're amazing. Don't worry." That's not strength, that's avoidance in disguise. She doesn't want a cheerleader. She wants a man who sees her shadows and says, "I'm not afraid of them." Because in her world, fear is familiar. It was fear that shaped her as she navigated expectations, judgment, competition, and rejection. Society told her to be perfect, to be pretty, to be poised, but inside, she was unraveling. And now, standing in front of you, she is handing you the rawness of her humanity, not to be solved, but to be seen. And here's the truth most men ignore. When a woman is afraid, she doesn't want solutions, she wants safety. She wants to feel that even in her storm, you won't run. That even if she cries without words, you'll hold her. That even if she crumbles in your arms won't let go. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Apply that here. When she opens up, close your mouth. Open your ears. Open your eyes. Watch her body language. Hear the weight of her silence. See the places she still protects with laughter or distraction. These are not just behaviors. These are shields she's hoping someone strong enough will hold without piercing. Let's be real, many men panic in the face of emotional depth. They weren't raised to hold space for feelings. They were raised to solve, to move on, to hide their own pain under layers of productivity. But that conditioning is the very reason they lose connection. Because when a woman reveals her fears, and you rush to make them disappear, you're not helping. You're erasing her experience. And erasure is the opposite of intimacy. So what does strength look like in these moments? It looks like staying. Sitting beside her as she trembles and not needing to make it better. Letting her speak without correcting her. Letting her cry without trying to explain it away. Letting her be afraid without making her feel broken for feeling it. This is emotional endurance. And most men don't have it. But the man who does? He becomes unforgettable. Because she knows that when she is at her weakest, he doesn't falter. He doesn't flinch. He stays. And that's what makes a woman desire a man, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Desire isn't about muscles or money. It's about how safe she feels falling apart in your presence. Can she crumble without judgment? Can she share her fears without hearing you're too emotional? Can she lean on you without feeling like she's a burden? The man who answers yes to these things unlocks a level of closeness most will never reach. Because her attraction deepens not when she's impressed by you, but when she's embraced by you. Fully, messily, fearfully, and still loved. A woman's fear is not weakness. It is vulnerability in motion. And vulnerability is the most courageous thing a person can show. If you treat it lightly, you will lose her. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But eventually, she'll close. Not her body, her heart. And once her heart closes, it's nearly impossible to open it again. The Stoic man recognizes this. He knows that his job is not to protect her from her feelings, but to protect her while she feels them. He doesn't shrink from her pain. He expands to meet it. He doesn't respond with insecurity. He responds with grace. Because grace is strength under control. So when she curls up beside you and whispers, "I'm afraid of being too much," don't reply with denial. Hold her tighter. Let your arms say what words can't. You are safe here. When she breaks down because work is overwhelming, or because she doubts her worth, don't correct her. Let her speak. Let her feel. Let her know that her emotion doesn't make her less of a woman, and it doesn't make you less of a man to receive it. And when she tells you her deepest fear, whatever form it takes, honor it like a sacred text. Because it is. She's trusting you not just with her story, but with her softest self. The one she hides from the world. The one she doesn't even show her friends. And if you're lucky enough to see that version of her, know that it comes with a responsibility not to fix, but to stand beside. Because in the end, love isn't built on grand moments. It's built in the quiet ones, in the late-night conversations, in the held tears, in the fears that were named, in the man who stayed when they were. Number 4, when she reveals her naked emotion, without defenses, without disguise. There's a moment in every real relationship where the masks fall away. It doesn't come with warning or preparation. It isn't planned. It simply happens, usually in silence, usually late at night, usually when the noise of the world has died down and only truth remains. And when it does, a woman reveals something few men ever truly see. Not her body, not her mind, but her naked emotion. The unfiltered storm. The trembling vulnerability. The quiet collapse of all her practiced strength. This is the moment most men fail. Not because they're cruel, but because they're unprepared, untrained, emotionally unfit to stand still when a woman no longer shields herself from her own tears. Maybe she's curled up beside you, and out of nowhere, the tears come. Not because you hurt her, not because of something obvious, but because she's reached that terrifying edge of her heart, the one she usually keeps locked behind ambition, independence, and a smile. And now, in front of you, the storm spills out. This isn't drama. This isn't manipulation. This is sacred. Seneca once wrote, "Sometimes even to live is an act of courage." For many women, just feeling deeply in a world that constantly punishes emotion is an act of courage. So when she lets her emotions run wild, when she sobs without reason, when her voice shakes and her hands tremble, it's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. And what you do in that moment writes your name, either into her memory or into her regret. But here's what most men do. They try to fix it. They panic. They start giving advice. It's going to be okay. Don't cry. You're stronger than this. And every word, though well-intentioned, slices through her trust. Because now she feels like a problem to be solved, not a soul to be held. What she needs is not your intellect, not your logic, not even your reassurance. What she needs is your presence. Just that. Just you. Still. Unmoving. Like a mountain beneath a thunderstorm. To reach this place, this unguarded realm where she lets go of performance and presents her rawest self, is to be handed a rare gift. It means she stopped trying to be strong for you. She's stopped pretending. She's let go of perfect and fallen into real. And now she's watching. Not for what you'll say, but for whether you'll stay. Most men don't. Not emotionally. They withdraw. They joke. They shift the energy. They throw out one-liners to cheer her up. But you cannot cheer up a soul that doesn't want to be cheered. It wants to be witnessed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This moment is a mirror of that wisdom. You can't stop her tears. You can't erase her pain. But you can govern your presence. And that, if you truly understand its power, is everything. So what does this look like in practice? It looks like silence. Gentle eye contact. A hand on her back that says, "I'm right here." A deep breath that keeps you anchored. No analysis. No interruptions. No reaching for a solution. Just a quiet, powerful stillness that holds the space while her heart spills its truth. Because when she lets go like this, she isn't testing you. She's trusting you. And how you respond will either deepen the bond or destroy it. And let me be blunt. If you flinch, she will remember. If you tell her to calm down, she will never forget. If you make her feel foolish for crying, she'll tuck that moment into a place you'll never reach again. Because women don't just leave physically. They leave emotionally first. Quietly. Slowly. Thoughtfully. And when they do, the light dims. The spark fades. The laughter changes tone. You'll feel her slipping, but won't be able to name the moment it started. And yet, she'll know. It was then. When you told her to stop crying. When you made her feel like a burden. When you made her feel alone in the middle of her breakdown. The Stoic man does not run from tears. He honors them. He knows that strength is not the absence of emotion, but the ability to hold it without collapse. To bear witness without judgment. To remain still while someone else unravels. Because that's when she will look at you, not just as her lover, but as her home. And here's what no one tells you. When a woman cries in front of you and feels safe doing so, her desire for you amplifies. Because now it's not just physical. It's emotional. It's spiritual. You've become the man who can stand in her shadows and not lose your light. And that is irresistible. Don't underestimate this. A single moment of pure emotional presence can bond her to you more deeply than months of romantic gestures. She won't say it. She may not even fully understand it. But her body, her heart, her spirit will know. And every time she looks at you after that, a part of her will whisper, "He didn't leave me when I fell apart." And that whisper will turn into a song, a loyalty, a desire that cannot be explained, only felt. So if you find yourself in that moment, in that raw, unguarded space where she lays her emotions bare, pause. Ground yourself. Look at her not as someone you need to fix, but as someone you're honored to stand beside. Let her cry. Let her shake. Let her fall apart. And don't move, because your stillness will be her sanctuary. Number 5. Her dreams. When she invites you into her future. There's something profoundly intimate, not in touch, but in trust, when a woman starts speaking about her future and you're in the room. Not in theory, not as a placeholder, but as a possibility. She doesn't talk about her dreams with just anyone. And when she does, she's not simply imagining vacations or daydreaming about Pinterest perfect weddings. No, she's unveiling a part of her soul that's been shaped by hope, carved by experience, and fueled by a desire for meaning. She's asking, without asking, can you walk with me? A woman's dreams are sacred. They are often stitched together through years of silent battles. Her vision to start her own business wasn't born out of boredom, it was born out of independence. Her wish to travel the world isn't about escape, it's about expansion. Her desire to build a family isn't fantasy, it's legacy. When she speaks these into existence in your presence, you must understand, she is weighing you against her vision, not to see if you'll complete it, but if you'll support it without fear. And this is where many men fail. They dismiss. They deflect. They smile politely and call her cute. They think it's small talk. But to a woman, that reaction echoes as, he doesn't see me. Seneca once said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. When a woman opens up about her future, it's not luck. It's a test of your preparedness. Are you still a man hoping life will fix itself? Or are you a man shaping his life with steady hands? She doesn't need you to have it all figured out, but she needs to feel that you're going somewhere, that your feet are pointed forward, and your mind isn't trapped in the past or stuck in self-pity. Because here's the unspoken truth, she doesn't need to be rescued. She needs to be respected. If she says she wants to retire early, and you laugh, that's not humor to her, it's disapproval. If she says she dreams of launching a wellness brand, and you change the subject, you've just changed your place in her heart. She may not even confront you. She may still smile. But internally, a door begins to close. The Stoic man knows, every reaction is a message. And the man who listens between the lines will find himself welcomed deeper into her world. Let's be clear. She's not asking you to fund her dreams. She's not asking for permission. She's asking for partnership. Can you walk beside her without dragging her down? Can you applaud her wins without feeling smaller? Can you let her shine without dimming yourself? If the answer is no, she will know. Because a woman who dreams loudly has been quieted before. She's been told, that's not realistic. She's been asked to shrink, to compromise, to choose love over self. And now, she's choosing something else, alignment. And if you can't align, you'll be left behind. So what does it look like to rise to this moment? It means asking her about the details, not because you have to, but because you genuinely want to understand what lights her up. It means brainstorming beside her, not to take over, but to reflect her belief back to her when she forgets it. It means saying, let's do it, even if it scares you, because your faith in her is louder than your fear. It means having your own dreams too, not to compete, but to complement. A man without vision cannot walk beside a woman with one. He will feel threatened. He will hold her back. And eventually, she will notice. Because as much as women are turned on by presence, they are equally turned on by purpose. Marcus Aurelius said, a man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. That truth doesn't change in love, it intensifies. When she sees that your goals are not just ideas, but lived actions, she'll want to align her path with yours, not because she needs to, but because she wants to be part of something real. And this is where magic happens. When two visions intertwine, not collapse into one, but run parallel, supporting, strengthening, expanding. This is the rare kind of relationship where both people grow because of each other, not in spite of each other. But this requires emotional maturity. It requires knowing the difference between leading and controlling, between inspiring and overpowering, between being the guide and being the wall. Because when she opens her heart to you through her dreams, she's saying, I see something in you that could fit into this world I want to build. And if you respond with detachment, with apathy, with fear, she will take her blueprint elsewhere. But if you respond with curiosity, with support, with vision, she will build with you. She'll look at you not just as a lover, but as a co-architect of her future. And that is where loyalty is born, where passion becomes long-lasting, where attraction transcends skin and lives in soul. You must remember, women crave depth, not just in conversation, but in direction. When she says she wants to start a podcast, or move to a new city, or raise children differently than her parents did, she's not just dreaming. She's revealing her values, her desires, her tests. And the man who meets her there, who doesn't minimize, who doesn't flinch, who dreams back, that man becomes unforgettable. Not because he promised her everything, but because he believed in something and allowed her to believe too. Somewhere between silence and understanding, between holding back and holding space, there is a place where a woman decides if you are the one she can trust. Not because you said the right words, not because you looked the part, but because you stayed. You listened. You saw her. You've now walked through the 5 deepest ways a woman opens her soul, not all at once, and not to just anyone. These are not signs of weakness. These are signs of courage, of radical trust, of surrender to something real. And here's what most men miss. None of these moments require perfection. They require presence. They require maturity. They require a man who doesn't panic when the surface cracks and something raw, untamed, and human emerges. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be the most attractive. You don't have to say the perfect line in the perfect moment. You simply have to be there. Still, grounded, aware. Like a man who understands the weight of a woman's trust and treats it like something sacred, not a trophy to be shown, but a flame to be protected. Epictetus wrote, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." In love and intimacy, this is your armor. You're listening. You're noticing. Your refusal to turn away when emotion feels too big or too messy. Because love, in its truest form, isn't loud. It's not about chasing or chasing after. It's about staying when the easy thing would be to walk. It's about earning the right to be her safe space, not just in moments of laughter, but in moments of quiet trembling. And so now, I leave you with this. If a woman has ever shared her past with you, don't forget what she said. If she's ever cried in front of you, don't forget how she made herself vulnerable. If she's ever dared to dream out loud in your presence, don't forget the courage it took. Because these are not just moments, they're milestones. And how you respond defines the path that follows. So don't just remember her words, remember how they felt. Be the man she remembers, not because you were the loudest, but because you were the calmest. Not because you had all the answers, but because you were strong enough to not need them. And if this message resonated with you, if it reminded you of a woman you love, or a moment you wish you'd handled better, let that memory become your teacher. Share your story in the comments below. This space exists for men who are ready to grow not through control, but through conscious presence. And if this video moved you, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs it. Stoic Now is not just a channel, it's a sanctuary for men who are building quiet strength and deeper love. Because at the end of the day, what makes a man unforgettable is not his charm or his words. It's how he makes a woman feel when she reveals the truth of who she is, and he simply stays. Not to fix, not to fear, but to witness. And in that stillness, she knows she's finally safe.